Welcome back, Nuggets. This mother clucker's got some thoughts. Let's ruffle some feathers and get into the video. While you're here, if you would consider subscribing to help my tiny egg of a channel, I would be so appreciative. Thank you. Okay, my nuggets, we have another candy catch-up. Quick mother clucker candy catch-up. My goodness. So this is covering basically what she went through in all of April, including both channels that she does where she's got her eating shows on her main channel and then her weigh-ins on her second channel. So my goodness, this month for Candy is a roller coaster. It's just like it's up and it's down and it's doing the right thing and it's not doing the right thing, and it's all over the place from her perspective. And it's actually going to make for a really interesting analysis, I think, in that way. And I think there's going to be quite a lot that we can pick up on from her in this. Bear with me because I have heavily edited all of this just because, you know, the food talk and the food eating and the talk about the computer games and the shows she's watching, and it's all redundant at this point, isn't it? Like, even though, look, you're not going to see any of it in this video, but just know that it's pretty much being brought up in every single video that she puts out because we know that that's how she spends her time. Okay, cool. So after this, I will be doing an Amber Lynn catch up and then straight back to Eugenia's fairy tales. So without further ado, let's get started, my nuggets.
Hey y'all, today I'm having chilies. Not the healthiest choice, but y'all know me. I like to make them bad choices in life. And chilies is one of them. And I got a Diet Coke because, you know, the Diet Coke, it negates all of the calories, so I'll be good. Joking. Sorry, I'm probably going cross-eyed too. It's like there's a hair somewhere. Like, good Lord, I'm so obsessive about stuff. I've never been diagnosed with OCD or any of the other things. You know, like potentially ADHD, potentially somewhere on the autism spectrum. Probably like just like that far in. Because it's not a diagnosis. I just said possibly. Possibly. Because I do some things, you know, that are indicators, you know.
So this was received so poorly. Like this whole start to this video is just a mess. So what she's referencing there is she actually cut her own hair, which I am all in support of because salons be very expensive, my nuggets. I understand that this is not what she means because I do tend to agree with her. There's probably some level of neurodivergence going on. I mean, who doesn't have neurodivergence going on to some degree? But as someone who has struggled deeply with OCD, I really, really hate it when it's described this way because having a hair in your face and it annoying you is not obsessive compulsive. That's having a hair in your face and it's annoying you. And when it's trivialized like that, you just think OCD, unmanaged OCD is crippling and it's not a joke. And it just, I know that's not what she means though, but just my nuggets, I'm a little frustrated with that one.
And the elevator don't go all the way to the top floor, I swear. I'm having my moments. Years and years of eating crappy food has addled my brain. Actually, no, life has done that.
I mean, it's a little bit of a self-deprecating joke, but do you wonder about that though? Because I think people that tend to overindulge in, say, these sorts of foods, they're not nutritionally balanced. So the odds of having a significant deficiency in a vitamin or two are pretty high. Even if we're just looking at like vitamin D at this point. But I do wonder, like, the brain fog when you're experiencing those deficiencies, even mild deficiencies, can be so real. And so there's kind of truth to what she's saying there. And yeah, life. But yeah, do not dismiss that brain fog.
As most of y'all know, Susan was a teacher before she retired. Texture of that chicken's a little weird. Okay. It's just weird texture chicken, kind of rubbery. Anyway, I hope y'all are doing well. It's the middle of the week, day Wednesday.
Okay, my nuggets, I swear I didn't plan that. I did not edit that deliberately, directly talking after the brain fog. Yeah, the brain fog is real. So I just sped up her little moment that she had there with herself in the middle, but we completely lost our train of thought while looking at the piece of chicken. But yeah, brain fog.
It's really good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just more breading than I want right now. Not that I'm counting carbs or anything. I don't care about the carbs. Oh. But yeah, I'm just not that into it right now. I'm here though. It's Wednesday and I showed up. Yay.
This is a tricky one. I do advocate for not getting into, the counting the macros and all that jazz, just because I think for somebody who is struggling with food and regulating that relationship appropriately, I think that keeping things as simple as possible is the best route for success. So that's why I say, the counting of the calories, make sure you're burning more than you're taking in. And it's just such a simpler way of looking at things. And then when you start getting closer to your goal, or you start getting better with your relationship with food, you can start getting more precise with things, because that's when it really counts. But right now, Candy's focus should be taking the weight off. Having said that, I do suspect that there is some, I don't know if she's been diagnosed officially or anything like that, but I think there may be some uncontrolled diabetes going on given the symptoms that she's been exhibiting. And in that way, carbs actually do matter, because they can spike that blood sugar and really cause a very risky situation. And the reality is that a lot of the food that we see her eating are high carbs. And from that perspective, it does make me worry a little bit.
Medical here in Las Vegas is horrible, and I've talked to multiple people that have doctors and have done doctor stuff here. And it's just across the board. And I'm going to say I've done doctor stuff here, like off and on over the years. And I've lived all over the country, okay? I've lived in Louisiana, in South Louisiana. And their medical is better than here. I've been treated better, and my thing is I'll get started and then I won't follow up, I'll be like, okay, this is some bullshit. I'm not digging it. And then I'll just doctor myself.
This language worries me a little bit. So to doctor herself, this is setting up some really serious red flags for me, because it is very clear that Candy is in a compromised state of health, and a fairly significant one at that. And I think that realistically, we're looking at some very, very serious things if doctors are not involved in this situation. So what I'm kind of hearing from what she's saying there is that possibly doctors are seeing the weight first, and they're wanting her to address that first. And I do understand how frustrating that can be when you are a person of size and you're feeling like you're bringing something to the table that is completely unrelated to weight. But having said that, and I guess you guys don't know about this about me, Nuggets. I have studied exercise science and nutrition. I'm not a medical professional, do not put that out there, but I've studied it. But it's not to be underestimated how much this kind of extra weight plays into like every part of your being. And I'm not saying that there aren't things that this doesn't affect, but when we're talking about the kinds of symptoms that Candy's talked about, even some of the mental symptoms that she's talked about, they can be significantly improved, if not completely managed, by a better lifestyle. So it kind of becomes this situation where it's like, well, clearly, like, let's address the chicken in the coop. This is the most immediate and dangerous thing. So let's manage that, and then we can manage everything else after. And I just have a little feeling that that's what she's describing. Again, I don't know. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not in there with her sessions, but just this language is worrying.
That's just the way I tend to do it. I'm like, yeah, these doctors don't know shit. I know my body. Yeah, I know my body well enough to F it up. Oh, good. I'm just laughing because if I didn't laugh, I'd cry, okay? I'm like, why is she giggling? What's that crazy laugh about? It's because I don't know. I've got a lot of crap going on in my head.
It's just Candy's coping strategy. I think it's just that she's anxious in that moment talking about that topic, and that's just kind of how it comes out. It's just like a nervous tick in a sense. And I am so sorry, my nuggets. I just want to say that I don't know if you can hear that. I'm dog sitting a friend's dog at the moment, and he is making some very heavy breathing and grunting noises in the background here. And I'm really trying to record around it, but just in case there's any of that going on in the background, I just wanted you to know I'm not being weird over here, okay?
Hey y'all, it's Friday, April 4th, and I'm about to do my weigh-in for the day. Not sure what to expect, but okay, I'm gonna see if I can get the camera set up where y'all can see me. I got y'all on my rolly with a little tripod, but here I go. Come on.
390.4 pounds.
390.4. Okay. Ow. Woo. 390.4. Okay, I've done a little bit of something good this week, I guess. Whew. Maybe y'all can watch me walk. Because I can. Not very easily, but... Okay. Choo-choo. Here we go. Yep. Yep, I can get around. Use my little shuffles into my chair. Woo! All right, see y'all next time.
Okay, and that was pretty much the extent of that weigh-in. So at the beginning of this health journey, she actually started by sitting down and talking about her week and talking about her struggles and her successes. And now we're really down to kind of not much at all. And there's 3 weigh-ins in this video that I'm going to cover, and 2 of them are pretty much like this. And just in case you guys needed a reminder, the last weigh-in that she did was 393.4. So she has actually done a little bit of weight loss there. Again, not as significant as somebody of her size could be doing. And most importantly, not as significant as I think time dictates she needs to be doing. Okay, so moving on to the eating show she did directly after. So whenever she does a weigh-in, there's always an eating show directly after.
Hey y'all. Today I'm having Thai food from Thai Barbecue. BBQ, and as y'all can see, I have a lot of food. Okay, there are going to be leftovers. There's a meal that I'm putting in the fridge to the side and everything. So yeah, I splurged today for real.
So it seems like something new that Candy is doing, or at least what she's telling us she's doing, is on the days that she does these eating shows, this is kind of portioned out to meet her calories for her entire day. So she's saying that she's ordering extra and then it goes in the fridge and she'll eat it like over the remainder of the day. Whether or not that's happening, look, your guess is as good as mine. And is anything being added to it? And is anything being ordered outside of eating show days? But like, yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
But yeah, so weigh-in was today, so I like to let myself indulge a little bit on weigh-in day. I was like, okay, week is done. Which minus the curry, I've got all this food for tomorrow. But it's like the rice and the chicken and the couple little pieces of shrimp. I don't know how much of the beef satay I'll be eating tonight. Or if I'll finish everything, with curry included. Might try to finish the curry.
If this were me, in my situation where I have absolutely had in the past a poor relationship with food that included a whole bunch of food noise and, you know, everything that goes with that, I know that what she's doing wouldn't work for me. I know that in that moment when I was tackling my intense tendencies, shall we say, towards food, it really needed to be an all or nothing thing, because just like any other substance intensity, any sort of mental substance intensity as well, it needs to be treated like that. So any other substance user. And if I at that time was saying, oh, I did my weigh-in, so now I get to do this, it would absolutely break me for the rest of the week. I know it would, because then you've got in your head, well, this is okay, so that means that it might be okay on another day. And it's like an increasing, snowballing, permission-based failing, if that makes sense. If there are people out there that can do that, I think that's great. More power to them. I'm just saying from my perspective, and I see a lot of similar traits in Candy as what I had around food, this couldn't be a thing for me if I wanted to hit success.
I'm full. I'm like getting really full here. It's the rice. The rice is filling me up pretty quick. And I'm gonna eat more later. I couldn't say how much. Because I'm just starting my day today. This is like breakfast right here.
That's a rough breakfast, particularly if I'm right about the diabetes situation, spiking that blood sugar that much with those carbs, like first thing. Oh, I don't know. She's playing with fire. This is incredibly dangerous. And I know that it's so much easier said than done to just say she needs to take action. There has to be action here. But there's that frustration, isn't there, of watching from the outside and not seeing any progress. And again, I've said this many times, it doesn't mean that there isn't progress being made. Just because we can't see it, it might be shifting slightly in her brain. It might not, but it might be.
Hey y'all. Today I decided I wanted a burger. And I think and I hope that I chose a good one. I don't know. I've just been very emotional lately. I mean, like, I'll see something like today I saw it was a reel on Facebook, and it was a dad and a little girl, and they're recording a song because mom passed away. When she started singing, it was like crumble. It just crumble. Like, oh gosh. Yeah. But I tell you what, I would rather feel my emotions than be as heavily medicated as I used to be. I mean, I took my mental health into my own hands, and I just said, no more drugs, no more pharmaceuticals. Let me put it that way. No more pharmaceuticals. Because it's just, they just kept adding pill on top of pill on top of pill, and it wasn't making me feel any better,
Okay, again, this is starting to sound really concerning. So here's what we know about Candy. She did highlight in one of her blogs that is still up that she has actually wondered in the past if she has schizophrenia. Now, I think what she's talking about is that she has certain hallucinations going on. I don't know to what extent, and I'm not here to diagnose her. I do know that there are other conditions that can cause that. And maybe what she's describing aren't hallucinations at all. Maybe it's something completely different. But what I do know is if that is accurate, those conditions really need medical intervention to be managed if you don't want to have things spiral. On the other hand, let's assume, what if it's just like your garden variety depression and generalized anxiety, or some manner of personality disorder in that kind of realm? I understand not wanting to be so medicated that you don't feel anything. I think that if you're doing everything right in your lifestyle and you're supporting them in the way that you can, you don't necessarily need to be on a dose that is so high that it completely mutes you, or potentially not on something that is as strong as that it mutes you. And look, I know that this is a very generalized brushstroke that I'm using here, and it's absolutely, I'm not speaking about you personally as an individual, my nuggets, okay? So please understand that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be on anything or anything like that, okay? But for Candy, specifically, it worries me that she's taking her mental health into her own hands when we have nothing but evidence that Candy is incapable of managing her own trauma. And I don't know if she's still going to a therapist. She hasn't mentioned a therapist in a while. And then to remove the medical support as well, I don't know. It worries me. Everything about this worries me. I also think it's tricky with certain conditions as well, that when you are medicated and you're feeling good or things are okay, it's easy to think, oh, I can manage this by myself. I don't need that level of support. So it's easy to trick yourself into thinking, oh no, I'm okay, I'm better now. But it's actually the act of being medicated and of doing the lifestyle that is causing you to feel better. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's just red flags, my nuggets. It worries me.
I mean, I was still, I don't know if it was the lack of life that was keeping me depressed. I mean, that was possibly it, but it's like I feel like I'm just much more animated, unmedicated. A little loopy, a little cuckoo. I got lots of things going on. I always wonder why I'm looking off into space. It's like, y'all don't want to know. Y'all really don't want to know.
See, she's insinuating visual hallucinations there. What do you do with this? It's concerning. I do absolutely support personal decisions like this if other coping mechanisms are set up to accommodate for, she's feeling more animated now. That's great. But the positive animation can also equal a negative animation. And what is she going to do to manage herself and to self-soothe herself in those moments? And it can't be food. It can't be TV. It can't be computer games. So what's it going to be?
But anyway, yeah, so I've just been emotional lately, and I'm actually thankful for that. It makes me feel like a person. It makes me feel more, like I'm living. I'm here.
And I really, really do hope that that's the truth. I hope this is going to be a good path for her. Okay, so I edited out quite a lengthy story here. She talks about her time in a church that was kind of going downhill because a televangelist moved in and started, it was diminishing the funding of the church and all that. Now, I really struggled with myself whether to leave this in or not, because I do not want to open up a discussion about religion. I think that we need to keep that kind of thing off the table. People can do what they want to do. We can all be respectful of that. But I did just decide to leave it in ultimately because there's just some telling behavioral things that come from this. So she's going to leave off from talking about her church going downhill and her journey that followed.
And that's about the time I started separating myself from the church. I was like, no, because I was a sensitive kid, and I had very adult urges as a young person, to the point where I just, even though I was saved and baptized, I still felt unclean, having natural human thoughts and urges. I felt so much guilt and so much shame over that I needed to be baptized again. And even years down the road, I had to be baptized again because I was just, I needed to be washed clean. I was just dirty. I was just a dirty person, disgusting human.
I really, really hate to hear her talk about herself in this way. And look, I support if feeling like having a baptism will cleanse you or make you feel more right with your decisions in some way. I think having that kind of conclusion can be a good thing. I think just like anything else, not leaning on it as a crutch is very important. I assume she's kind of talking about later in life her choice of career, perhaps. And that really reinforces my suspicion that her getting into that was not necessarily a positive thing, which is concerning because she's still doing it. So does she still have that outlook on her career, and is she still feeling that way about herself? And I don't like the level of shame that she's putting on herself for these decisions. I have said many a time that there's absolutely nothing wrong with choosing adult entertainment-centered careers. I think you need to enter it with your eyes open, and you need to enter it wanting to do this kind of thing, and that's great. I just think those sorts of things can get very exploitative very quickly. But if you're aware of it, then and it's not going to affect you, that's awesome. But I don't like this self-talk, and the fact that she's also talking about taking her mental health into her hands. This is heading down a very bad path.
Anyway, yeah, it's a roller coaster here right now. My brain is braining, and I'm having all of these weird thoughts and ideas and whatever. But I'm okay. I'm okay though.
I do wonder if she's kind of describing a coming off any medication that she may have been on. Maybe there's some, I don't know, see, even coming off some medications really need to be medically observed and done very slowly, depending on what it is and how you react to it. I don't like the place that we're seeing Candy in for this mukbang. It's just worrying, isn't it? Yeah, so let's keep going.
Hey y'all. Today I have got myself some Jollibee. It's been a minute. My hip's actually been feeling pretty good the last few days. I've been so thankful. And when I move, I'm trying to move deliberately. Like really paying attention to my muscles. Because this hip, I swear, and it's the belly putting pressure on my legs. And I know I haven't had a diagnosis, but the way I feel the hip actually popping in and out of the joint, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm wondering if it's hip dysplasia or whatever. But my doctor has never gotten back in touch with me, and I've called multiple times to try to get to actually speak with him, and I've left messages. So yeah, I mean, I know I need to do a face-to-face, but Y'all, this hip is so bad, I cannot lift it up by myself to put it into a car, okay? You know, and there's a lot of excuses as to why, but that's a big one. You know, I can't even lift the leg, and I need a lot of help. And if I have somebody take me in the wheelchair, you know, they still have to like lift my leg and shove it in the door.
And what she's describing sounds absolutely horrendous. And it's what makes it all the more important that her diet element is correct, because she cannot out exercise this. She's gotten herself into a state where that's just not going to be an option, at least for a while, if ever. I need to know, Nuggets, because like in Australia, if she were here, there would be places that would be able to assist her to be able to go to the doctor. I mean, even if it's like calling an ambulance or something, I don't know, anything. There's ways to do it. And I know that American healthcare is it's quite a different situation over there, but she has mentioned that she has some sort of medical insurance. So I don't know, are there facilities or services that would be able to get her to the doctor to be able to see them in person? Because the reality is that dealing with something physical like a hip issue is not going to be done over the phone. She's going to need to have tests done, and she's going to need to physically go into these places. So I am curious about that. Is she kind of just laying more excuses on the table that she could get around if she were to put a little bit of research effort into it? Let me know. I'd be interested to know.
But I'm trying to exercise more. I'm actually like laying in the bed and like getting my hand up under my leg and lifting it up. And I feel the hip like it like goes pop, 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 pop as I'm lifting it up. And I'm like, this sucker is locked up tight. I'm like, Lord have mercy. But it's starting to loosen up a little bit. So I'm doing like standing and sitting and standing and sitting, and I know y'all don't give a damn. I mean, and the people that do are on the other channel. So I'm sorry. I shouldn't even be bringing any of this up, especially with food in front of me.
I mean, I do give a damn. I do. I guess she's talking to, you know, the crowd that want to watch her eat. They don't want to hear her talk about her medical issues or restricting calories or anything like that. But it sounds like the hip responds to movement, so it wants to be used. I don't know what's wrong with it, but like, I just can't stress the urgency enough that I am so worried at, although she is making progress, because at the beginning of the year she was at 417 pounds and now she's in the 390s heading into the 380s. But it's just, I worry that not dealing with the childhood trauma, not being medically observed and treated, not losing the weight fast enough, I worry that we're really playing a game of time here that at the moment it looks like she's on the losing side. And I don't want that to be the case. I don't want us to be sitting here like it kind of feels like with Eugenia at the moment, of watching the end. I don't know. I guess I am relentlessly hopeful, relentlessly positive, or relentlessly believing in action. I don't know.
But this is the job. So I'm counting the calories. I know the fried stuff isn't good for my hip, and the pasta really isn't, and the potatoes. But it is what it is. So, but I've counted every damn calorie, and I'm gonna enjoy them. And I still have calories left over for the rest of the day. You know, so I could still have, you know, something. A couple of bags of 100-calorie popcorn, or, you know, a couple of little 60-calorie popsicles. You know, something. Or a salad. I've got salads in my fridge. Little salads. They're like like around 300 calories or so. Yeah, I mean, I'm serious. This is my life now. You know, and people can be negative about it and say it's never going to happen. But my mind is in the right place, you know. Part of me wanted to like order a bunch of fruit and do a fruit bag. You know, but after being diagnosed with diabetes, you know, It don't matter if I eat fruit or eat healthy stuff. If it's not exactly what somebody thinks is going to be healthy for me, you know, they got a problem. And be like, it's so much sugar. Like, yeah, half of the stuff I eat is sugar.
300 calories for a salad. I'm assuming it's probably got dressing. My goodness. Oh, so she has had a diabetes diagnosis. Okay. Yeah, so eating fruit is a lot of sugar, and that's not good for her blood sugar levels. But either is eating an entire thing of pasta, and pretty much everything we see on the table there are carbs. And don't get me wrong, I am not the person that slams carbs as the enemy. It's not like that at all, only from a blood sugar perspective and an excess perspective. She says her head is in the right place. I would argue that so long as this is on the table, literally this that we're looking at on the table, her head is not in the right place that it needs to be. It's difficult with Candy because we'll see these glimpses of acknowledgement of her situation, but then we'll see complete and utter denial. And of course, that's her little trauma cycle that she's got going on that clearly still hasn't been dealt with. So does she get the gravity of her situation? Does she not? Or does she, but doesn't care anymore?
Calorie counting is about as deep as I'm going to go now. I've already shot away from every little fad diet that I had in my brain. The only really good thing about carnivore is it took the deciding away. It took the worry away about the sugars and stuff like that. And I did lose a lot of inflammation and I lost weight fairly quickly. But I don't know. I just want to do it low and slow. And I want to do it just eating regular food.
I agree about the fad diets. I think she needs to just keep it really simple. But that is a really important lesson that she's learned about herself there. The taking the choice away. So the choice, when given a choice, she can't help but lean into her cravings, to give into what she feels like. So that's another benefit that I found of doing some really big meal prepping. Like, I'm talking things in the slow cooker, things in big pots. We're talking 2 weeks of food at a time, where it's there. You've got nothing else. This is all you have to choose from. So that's another thing that I think would really benefit her, as well as benefiting her budget in a big way. It's so important to identify these things about yourself and how you work.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just trying to baby my hip, move around a little bit more. I've actually got little shoes on. I don't typically wear shoes, but I've got these ballet flat type shoes. Yeah, and I'm gonna start trying to go outside a little bit. Not yet. Not yet. But I do. I want to try to, get my rollator out the door. Susan can do it. If she can do it, I know I can do it. I'm just, I'm not as tenacious as she is. I mean, physically, we're in pretty close to the same condition, but she's tenacious. She will bulldoze through the pain and get shit done.
So I think what she's identifying there is that fire that I talk about, something that I wonder is there with the women that I cover, because I think when there is a fire, you fight for yourself in some way, even if it's just a tiny way, and even if you need to fan those flames a bit to get it into a roaring fire that can't be put out. But I don't know if that's just innate or if it's something that you can find. But we know that Candy struggles with agoraphobia, and that is no joke, and I'm not going to minimize that in any way, but I do have to say absolutely the only way to deal with agoraphobia is to actually force yourself out, and you do it scared, and you do it uncomfortable, and eventually that fear monster gets smaller, and you can just do it without thinking about it anymore. But I I would love to see Candy borrow some of that tenacity from her friend. And yeah, you push through. You do what you need to do. That's what you do.
But me, I'm like, ow. And I whine and I say, why does it hurt so much? It hurts so much because you don't do nothing, girl. Get up off your butt and do.
And then we get some of that lucid awareness from Candy. And I think a little bit like Eugenia, where I've talked about the path of least resistance. I definitely see that in Candy as well. And when I say that putting your skill points into inaction is still practicing something, this is what she's teaching herself that she can do. So she's taught herself that she can just sit back. Somebody will always look after it for her. She can just, indulge in whatever sensation or feeling she's having in that moment. And I do acknowledge that with certain mental health situations, it can make it a lot harder. I'm absolutely in that camp right along with these women, but it doesn't make it impossible. It just means you need to accommodate for the way your brain thinks a little bit more than, say, a neurotypical person might have to do. She herself right here is fully admitting she's just giving in. She's taking the path of least resistance and saying, cluck it, somebody else will care for me, somebody else will do this for me.
Oh, it's my laundry lady texting me, trying to work out when she's gonna come pick up my laundries. Whew, my cleaner, she's coming on Thursdays now. She did my toes. I paid her good to do my pedicure too.
I just left this in here as a little compilation because she was talking about all of these services that she has. And can I just tell you, Nuggets, I cannot afford to do these kinds of services. And for somebody who says that she can't afford weight loss medication, I've said it once, I've said it twice, and I'm saying it again. I need to see that. But Candy, show me your budget. Show me.
Well, this was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every little thing. I just don't have as much of an appetite in one sitting, so I'll be finishing this and, I'll turn my shows on for a couple of hours and, then I'm a grazer. I like to, if I was to sit here and eat a meal, like start to finish, I would be here for probably 3 to 4 hours. I ain't joking. I mean, that's how long it takes me to finish my food sometimes.
I mean, I don't know. I think we went from perfect clarity and awareness to complete and utter delusion. Look, I don't know. I'm not in her house. I don't see her eating habits. I tend to think that if she is grazing, because of course multiple small meals throughout the day can be a really valid way to manage your food. But if she is grazing throughout the day, I would argue either it's when she's not hungry and she's just getting that mental cue to put food in mouth and feel good, or she's eating way too much, like not what we would consider grazing.
I want to be better. I really do. I want to be better for me. Because even though I'm here and I'm sharing my situation and, the basically what I'm eating kind of things, it's all about what I have to do for myself.
These are the correct words. I hope she believes them. I hope she's acting on them. It's one thing to say them. It's another thing to actually take the action behind it. And what she's doing is brave/stupid. I don't know. You tell me. I wouldn't put my weight loss journey on the internet for sure, just because I think it's emotionally charged, or can be emotionally charged in and of itself. And then to invite external observations can be a little much. But yeah, let's move on to her next weigh-in. So this weigh-in was actually a lengthy one and there's quite a bit to speak about. So let's get into it.
Hey y'all. Today is Friday, April 18th. And I'm about to do my weigh-in. I had some good things happen this week. But it's also, besides that, been a very difficult week food-wise. So, if I haven't gained weight this week, I'll be damn surprised. All right, ouchie, oh gosh. Oh, Yeah, I went out this week. Oh my God. And you wouldn't think it, but just 2 steps outside, and I'm pretty well broken. Okay. And yeah, I'm bent way over because that's as straight as I can stand.
394.0 pounds.
Oh yeah, 394. Oh yeah, I knew it. I knew it. It's been that kind of week.
So that's just under a 4-pound weight gain from the previous weigh-in. And this is not good. Candy does not have time to be clucking around like this. I mean, look, success is never a linear journey. It's really not. And ups and downs happen. And ups and downs in weight happen with natural biorhythms anyway. Like, that's a thing. But if she's saying she knows that she overate, it was a bad food week, she knew exactly the choices that she was making. And once again, it just comes down to that. What do you want more? Do you want to save your life more? Or do you want to indulge in what your brain is telling you want to have in that moment?
So yeah, I'm not gonna say it's all water weight or it's all inflammation or even I didn't poop today. Of course, all of those things are true, but yeah, you don't gain 4 whole pounds without going way off the rails a few days out of the week.
So she says that she's not going to say it's any of those things, but then says it's all of those things. And I do think it's tricky when it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? When you decide and how you decide to weigh yourself. So like the standard is to say, weigh yourself at the same point every week, 1 week apart, right when you first wake up, and go from there. But the problem with that is these little natural biorhythms, not saying that that's what's happened to her this week, but there are things that can spike your weight temporarily. And it's not fat, it's just a temporary biorhythm or inflammation response or whatever. But then the problem with only weighing yourself 1 week, you're stuck with that, berating yourself for the next week, thinking that you've failed in some way and wondering potentially how you've done it. And the other side is, well, you weigh yourself every day, the same time of every day. I actually subscribe to this one, but the thing is, if you're going to do it every day, you need to be aware that things are going to fluctuate, and you also need to prepare yourself that what is read on the scale is not everything. And also where she's talking about certain bodily functions not being completed, well, that can affect things too. And you just kind of approach it knowing that for the most part, you're looking at a trend line and things will largely work themselves out. And those natural swings can be huge. Depending on who you are, what weight you are, what your natural system does, it can be like a couple of kilos. It's wild. So it's important to be approaching these things with this kind of understanding. Otherwise, you get so down on yourself that then you stop trying. And that is the worst thing, because we're looking at trend lines. Are you doing the right actions? Are you improving your lifestyle? It's not just about what that scale reads.
Yeah, I mean, my friends came and got me with their, they have like a transport van where you can fit like multiple like scooters or wheelchairs and all that stuff in it. And the scooter that I was on, I'm not sure what the weight limit on it was though, but it didn't feel like very sturdy or very solid. So when I was getting in it or getting on it, I was super worried that I was gonna break it. I tell you, just like going from the door, like just a few steps out onto the concrete and working my, backing up, trying to get onto the scooter. And then even like being able to move my leg and turn it around so I could get straight on the scooter. And this hip doesn't want to move very well. So it was hard. It was a workout. It was really a workout. But it was nice to get out, and it was nice to reconnect with friends that I haven't seen since pre-COVID, quarantine. But I realized that even if I had a scooter, or even if I like just any, it would be extremely difficult for me, you know, without someone there to like help me and hold my hand. Literally hold my hand. Cause y'all don't seem to understand how rough everything can be for me sometimes.
I wonder if that's true, that people don't understand how rough it is for her, because I have no doubt that existence for somebody like Candy is nothing but pain. I can appreciate how difficult even tiny things that we all take for granted that we do throughout the day are an event in her life. And again, it's what puts the urgency on getting the diet right or getting the nutrition correct, because that's the only thing that's going to save her at this point in time. I do just want to make a note here that she's referencing her friends, and she has actually referenced some visits from friends in the previous videos as well, but it was all surrounding watching TV shows and all that. So I love, this is a little bit of a development, that I love that she's actually getting people around her and that she's going out and, you know, interacting with the outside world. That is a huge deal. And I think that this is a really important part for Candy to incorporate into her life to ensure her success.
You know, and even being in the van, you know, at the scooters like locked in and stuff, and I'm still like panicking. I'm like a deer in the headlights. And when I got there, you know, I was so nervous that one of the girls that was there, she's like, "Do you need a Xanax?" And I was like, "Yes, please." Yes, please. You know, so I've got people like passing me Xanax and then passing me something for pain, and I'm like, you know, I feel like such a charity case and such a burden to people.
Okay, I really don't like seeing Candy like this. I think this is a very real moment for her. I think Candy is really hurting. I wish that she would take this clip and play it to herself whenever she's about to make a decision about food, because what we're about to cover is insanely powerful and it's so upsetting to watch. And it's a hard watch. I'll give you guys that warning. But if you can, remember this in your heads for the rest of the video, because unfortunately this was just a moment in time.
And I know they don't feel that way. I know they love me. And they just wanted to show me a good time. And it was nice, and it was like, just go to the doctor, just go to the doctor. Do y'all realize how difficult that was for me? Even when I had Red here pushing me in my wheelchair, that was so freaking difficult. And I'm just supposed to go by myself, right? You know, y'all can just shut the up, okay, about that.
Now look, she's referencing people in her community, commenters and things like that. And we've been seeing this ramp up now for a couple of months, where she's just slowly getting more and more sassy to her viewers. And probably correctly so, because they are starting to really swing quite a lot more in a negative direction. But I just want to shake her. I want to say to Candy, and by the way, Nuggets, you know, if you're resonating with this conversation at all for any sort of thing in your life, if you're sitting here feeling like this right now, this is the moment. Do you ever just get so ridiculously sick of yourself that you can't handle making plans anymore? You can't handle thinking it through anymore. You're just like, no, I am so sick of this that I am going to take action. This is not okay with me. This is heading down a path that is completely unacceptable. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to get myself out of this situation. This is the moment. You know, you can't manufacture these. You can't force these into existence in a way that, you know, I mean, some people are very easily self-motivated and they're able to do that, and that's wonderful. But these are the times where you really, you know, you put on your big girl panties. No pun intended, my nuggets. I apologize. You grow up and you take responsibility for yourself, for your future. Take responsibility for the choices that you make, because every choice comes with a consequence, no matter what the choice. Sometimes the consequences are good, but this is it. This is the moment in time.
When I'm able to go comfortably, I'm gonna go, okay? It's beating a dead horse, you know, because right now I'm not physically able. You know, just taking 2 steps outside was like excruciating. Anyway, that's 4 pounds. It's very disappointing. I'm very disappointed in myself, and I'm very angry at myself.
So if I were Candy in this situation, and you know, I've been in this level of self-hatred, I suppose, and sick of my situation, I took that rage at myself and at my situation and funneled it. I funneled it into fanning my little tiny ember of a flame that I had at the time. And with practice, with repeating the actions that I wanted to see in my life, I was able to get my way out of it. So use it, Candy. Use this rage at yourself. Use this as reason to fight for yourself.
Because I know I can do better. I mean, I can obviously do better. Anyway, that's me today, you guys. I'm gonna say my prayers for a better week next week. You know, pray for myself to be strong and not like reach for the comforting foods or overeating snacks, because that's the bane of my life right there. Just, and then it just builds, you know, because if I go off the rails one day, I'm gonna go off the rails again.
Okay, so here's where I do take exception to this. I fully support having a belief system. I think it benefits people psychologically to have a belief system. Your belief system is not going to magically make your weight different or to make your situation different. The only thing that is going to come and save you and come and change your situation is you. And your actions, your decisions. I don't like when things are placed on fate or luck or faith, because that's really selling yourself short. I think that is completely taking the onus on your action away from you and essentially saying if you do have any success, it was nothing to do with you. And I think that sucks. It's a bad message to be sending yourself. So to separate yourself from your belief system and learn to rely on yourself as a whole entity, make the right choices, practice the correct actions, and get yourself out.
Hey y'all. Today I'm going to attempt to eat healthy food. Or at least I think this is healthy food. Okay, this is some healthy stuff I've got here, I think. Please tell me, am I eating healthy today? And I know this looks like it's overeating, but when I put all of this into my body, this is probably going to be all that I can eat for today.
So I did an estimation. Once again, this restaurant she went to had no nutritional information on it. And so I would like to know how she thinks it is within her calories, because I had to do some work. And the reality is we don't know what sorts of oils has been used in the cooking process, but I did estimate, I think the calories are somewhere between 15 and 1900-ish. But again, it's really, really difficult. Outside of knowing how it's been prepared, the food itself, it's very like veg heavy. So yeah, it's fine. But how is she estimating it? I would like to know.
I mentioned the red fusion juice. It has beets, red cabbage, celery, and orange. I got the 16 ounce. I added honey and brown sugar because I didn't think the honey was going to be enough. And I also added fresh ginger root just because. The cranberry spinach salad has organic mixed greens, spinach, walnuts, strawberries, cranberries, raisins, and feta cheese. And I got a blue cheese dressing, and of course I added the extra avocado. Grilled veggies are basically just seasonal. I have, I believe, I see mushrooms, onions, zucchini, and eggplant. The grilled chicken breast platter. I got the herb chicken, the baked sweet potato, which I could have had the grilled veggies as the side, but I wanted the sweet potato too. Organic quinoa or organic brown rice. And I chose the sweet potato because I love sweet potato. Okay, and the fruit salad, yummy, yummy, usually has seasonal fresh fruits with berries, and it's topped with shredded coconut, raisins, cranberries, walnuts, and honey.
Okay, so it is not actually the quality of the food that I would like to discuss, because hold on to your feathers, my nuggets. You're about to have an epic rant coming your way. Now, this is actually a rant that I have recorded a couple of times in Candy videos, and I've actually wound up removing for fear that I will not be believed. But I'm going to include it this time because I come ready with statistics and numbers and I'm good to go. Now, this order I replicated. It came to $57.44 USD, which for my Aussie nuggets is just shy of $89. Now, you may know that I'm the queen of frugal. Yes, I am. And I've said many a time that I want to see Candy's budget because let me tell you, if she is spending anywhere near this per day for food, that is obscene. So something that I wanted to know is, because Australia is quite an expensive country to live in, and I know that America has had some situations of late that is also making it more expensive. So some of these numbers may be slightly out, but bear with me, it should work out in the wash. Now, I worked out that an average Australian weekly grocery spend is 204 Australian, which is approximately 135 US, based on current exchange rates. So you may need to tell me whether you're above or below this. Now, I can tell you that my husband and I exist on $7 per person per day. And that is not just food, that is all of the household requirements. So the entire grocery shop. So let's say $50 a week per person. That means that on this meal that Candy has for a single day, I could have lived on myself for 12 days. So as you can see, I am substantially below the average grocery shop. And how I do that is, well, with some clever budgeting, some clever use of sales, and a whole lot of meal prep. I cannot stress enough that all of this is about meal prep. And I do want to highlight as well that all of the meals are nutritionally balanced and good quality. I'm not sitting here eating ramen every day, okay? But here's the fun fact about the US that Australia doesn't have, and I believe even the UK has some similar things as well. You have a whole lot of discount stores that I don't have access to. We do have dollar stores, but they do tend to just sell junk food. We do have some Costco's, although I'm not near any of them, and we do have Aldi, like you guys do. However, I also don't have access to an Aldi, so this is all through mainstream grocery stores. You guys also have cool food rescue apps and old food that's being sold cheap because it needs to be cooked and used really quickly. We don't have that sort of thing here. We have a horrible food wastage issue in Australia. And something else that US nuggets have that I do not have access to is like a coupon cashback kind of situation. We do have some coupons here, but they're not really it's not really in the same way that the US uses them. And in all honesty, more often than not, the websites, like for the actual grocery stores, you can access them anyway. So it's not really of too much benefit to me. So my point being here that if I were living in America, I actually think that I could have made the money for that meal that Candy just bought go for potentially over 2 weeks. And this is why I get so animated when I hear her talking about not being able to afford things that will change her life or having to do this work to survive. And then you add all of those services on that she's getting done because she can't do them because she's gotten too out of shape to be able to do them. This is why I get so frustrated when money is brought up, because I see these budgets being so badly mishandled that it's essentially forming into an excuse in and of itself to eat poorly. And if she were to just put just a tiny bit of effort into food prep, and I know that she can't stand for very long, but I've already discussed slow cookers are like the best thing ever. You just chop it up and chuck it in and leave it for a few hours, and it makes, I have a 9-liter slow cooker, and it makes 9 days worth of dinners for 2 of us. So if we're just talking about Candy, that is like nearly 3 weeks worth of dinners just in that one lot of preparation. Look, it's a big rant. It's a lot to take in. I had to get it out. It's been infuriating me, but give me the budget. Candy, give me your budget. Okay, rant over my nuggets. Thank you for listening.
I'll tell you what, after eating all this good, healthy food today, I'm going to feel great tomorrow.
You would think so, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you, my nuggets? Question. Do any of you have an experience where you've gone from like eating nothing but trash and then doing a really healthy kick? Did anything happen? Did you have any experiences? I had a friend over just recently who, let's just say, doesn't eat that great. A lot of takeout and things like that. By necessity, by budget necessity, we eat really, really clean and have a lot of probiotics in the diet and things like that. And he came and stayed with us for 3 nights, and it wasn't good. He had some gastric response.
Now, y'all know I love my fast food. I mean, seriously, I probably should have done something like McDonald's or something crazy today. Because I skipped a couple of times this month. you know. But I just didn't want it. I wanted something with some serious nutrients in it. Yep. And this is not a health channel. This is an eating channel. But this is what I'm eating today.
Fun fact as well, because Candy likes to convince herself that her McDonald's videos do the best. This video, which is healthy food and was largely received quite well by her community as well, did exactly the same views as her McDonald's video that comes out, I think it was next. So view-wise, they've performed the same. And view-wise, the McDonald's video has actually done not as well as the burger video that we covered first. So just a little bit of number facts going on there. Okay, so for this next little bit that we're going to run through, Candy at the end of this video actually went on quite a kind of brain dump of childhood memories and explaining that she was a little bit weird as a child. So I've heavily edited this down because it was just kind of a stream of consciousness on her behalf. There was a bit of toing and froing, but I'll get the points through to you fairly concisely.
When my grandparents and I moved to Louisiana in 1976, I was 4 years old, And I remember my grandmother taking me back behind the house. There was a barbed wire fence that led out. You know, there was like a little thicket of trees, then a barbed wire fence that led out into this cow pasture. And dotted all around the cow pasture were these hills, which, come to find out later, they were like really old, like, I guess termite hills maybe, but they were like mounded over. And yeah, there were no like termites in there anymore. But on these hills were bunches of blackberry bushes. And we bring our baskets out there. And then he showed me how to pick them carefully without getting all, you know, tore up with the thorns, because blackberry bushes are thorny.
She's talking about wild blackberries, and I think that that is one of the purest forms of country fun that you can do. It's one of my most favorite things. And of course, like cultivated blackberries, they've managed to get rid of the thorns in the genetics, so they're a lot more pleasant to deal with. But yeah, those wild ones, the thorns on them are rough, and we use fire pokers to pull them down and delicately pick them off. And but yeah, it is an exercise in pain that is so worth it.
Every time I have blackberries, it just takes me back. Now, this cow pasture, by the way, it wasn't always empty of cows. I mean, sometimes there were cows in there. I mean, sometimes they'd be way on the other side of the field and we'd be out there. But Lord help us if the bull was out. If the bull was out, Nanny never took me out there when the bull was out. But my little crazy butt, when I was like running around doing all my weird kid crap, you know, I think we were there in that place till I was about 7, 8, 9 maybe. I think 9. I think I was in 2nd grade. Sometimes I'd be out there doing my weird kid stuff, and I'd go out into the pasture and I'd just want to eat berries off the bush, you know. Yeah, but I remember at least once, I saw the bull, and I almost saw the bull too late because the bull saw me. So my little butt started running, but there was at least one time that I was sitting up in the magnolia tree, and I went out on a branch that I shouldn't have gone out on, and it broke. And I fell out of the tree, and I'm trying to remember, it was at least as tall as the not the top of the house, but like the, what do you call the overhang part, you know, with the roof, and then there's the overhang. So it was at least that high. So it wasn't that high, but it was high enough that when I fell out of the tree, my head hit like some roots that were raised up out of the ground, which roots are hard. They're not like it's like magnolia tree, you know, roots. So yeah, and I reached back there, and there was a little blood on my hands, and I just went back and I went inside. I was quiet. I didn't say nothing. I was just like, I just thought that if I told anybody that I fell out of the tree, that I wouldn't be able to climb my tree anymore. And I had this weird, like, when I say I was a weird kid, I was a weird kid. This tree, I had kind of this, how old was I even when that happened? I had to be like 10, 11, which is weird in and of itself. But it was kind of like I had this relationship with the tree. Okay, when I say trees talk to me, I'm, you know, I know it sounds weird, but they had a bush on the corner of the house that had these really long branches, and I used to talk to him. I say him all the time, and he was a prince, and he had these really long, like, like branches that came out and kind of fell over, and I would dance with the branches, and and we would talk, and it was, yeah, it was weird. It was very weird. But yeah, I used to practically just want to live up in that tree, and I would hug it and talk to it, and it was like one of my best friends at the time. I don't know if that Candy was not right. So if y'all are questioning my little touch of the tism, that was me as a kid. I had my little imaginary friends, and my actual first boyfriend was a bush.
I mean, I don't think we need to bring autism into this necessarily. And she did have that little splash screen up. I'll just read it for those of the nuggets who are doing housework at the moment, not looking at the screen. She said, "When I say things like this, I do not truly mean to offend anyone with autism spectrum disorder. I've never been diagnosed with either that or ADHD, but I feel like I exhibit certain signs of it, especially as a child. I should have been tested for these things. I was not. I was allowed to run wild. These days, folks call it free-range parenting." Which is actually the first time I've heard that term, and yes. But I'll just leave that kind of stream of consciousness with you. I don't know whether she's, just trying to be quirky and, unusual. If it was Amber, I'd definitely think that. But I think she's probably highlighting some neurodivergence of some description, although I do not think autism is it. And yeah, tell me what your take is on this, my nuggets, because I wanted to leave it in because it's so telling of her childhood, but in all honesty, like I personally, I don't know what to do with it. I think kids can be kids, and a lot of things can be still classified as normal, and it's clearly not necessarily harmful in any way, and I support that. But yeah, tell me what you think.
Hey y'all, here we are again with another McDelivery today. This and this I'm gonna try to put away. I can't. This is enough for later, because it's already late. I started late. I did it on purpose. I did it on purpose. So I'm gonna get full, not long before bed.
So literally nothing else happened in this mukbang. It was just prattling about the food she was eating and then talking about food that she had cooked in the week, and there was nothing else to it. But I did just want to make note of this, because your digestion slows quite a bit when you sleep. Your whole digestive system, your bladder, for example, so that it's not constantly waking you up. There are things that really, really slow right down. So it's not good to have a big meal right before bed. And especially since we're talking about quite a fatty meal, things are just going to be stored overnight, and it's not ideal. But what I will say, it is possible that because in her childhood she's gone through being without and also being on a little bit of a cycle of crop loading and then restricting and loading and restricting, if that makes sense. So she may have a little bit of a psychological reaction to feeling an empty stomach when going to bed. And it might even be that really affects how she sleeps. Potentially, it could be, what I'm saying is it could be a physiological sensation linked with a psychological cause, which is rooted in trauma. But it's not ideal for her, and I certainly wouldn't be recommending it, but potentially that would be something to deal with a therapist about, if I'm right.
It's April 25th, 2025. I'm about to try to step on the scale. I'm gonna turn it around a little bit.
Hello.
Hi.
It's ready. £391.2.
391.2. Okay. Ooh. I didn't get under the 390, but at least I'm going back down. That's good. All right, y'all. That's all I got right now. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
So that was literally the whole way in. I didn't edit that video, aside from cutting out the beginning and the end splash screens. And she did have a loss this week. That was really good. But I worry about the enthusiasm for these waning, along with the mental health decline that we've seen. And I just think it kind of shows the priority of where it's sitting in her head and where her motivation is. It makes me worry a bit for her journey forward and her success.
Hey y'all. Today I am having Wendy's, but I already factored it in to my calories for the day. I know y'all don't want to hear about my calories. So, I'm under no illusions that this is healthy food. No, I'm not trying to eat healthy here today. I'm just eating something that I've been craving all the time.
So she's not trying to eat healthy today. She's giving into a craving. So again, that's that what do you want more that I was asking. And she's made her choice. So in this case, she wanted to indulge a craving more than saving her life. And I know that sounds oversimplified, but if you break down these little actions that you make throughout your entire day, this is always what it boils down to. What do you want more? And if you recall back, it was only 1 week ago she had her breakdown saying how disappointed she was in herself and how she wanted to make change. And here we are today with Wendy's. Now, nothing else really happened. She was just fully enjoying this food. She was really in the moment with it. So there's nothing else really for us to analyze. So let's move on to the final mukbang of April.
Hey y'all. Today I'm having Freddy's frozen custard and steak burgers for the first time. Yep, this is the first time I've ever gotten to try them. And I got a few menu items. Let's see. And here are my chili cheese fries. Chili cheese fries and my fry sauces. I know, sorry I'm being a weirdo. But, you know, that's what y'all signed up for. Y'all signed up for a hungry fat chick. So y'all get all my weirdness.
And that's how I feel about you, my nuggets. You've come here. You know what you're getting. You've signed up for this. You're going to get all of my weird. You're going to get all of my rants. And you're going to get all of my foul language. Because cluck it.
Y'all, I'm speechless. But in my head, I've got Elvis Presley singing gospel. I got some glory, glory, hallelujah. Ooh. It's just fast food. It's just but it is hitting every spot.
So from what we've seen, and I left this in because this was kind of the state of the last two mukbangs, so this one and the previous one, where she's just fully in the zone enjoying the food. But from what she's presenting and from what we're seeing, this is her only activity that brings this kind of joy for her in her life. And it's really dangerous when you find yourself in a situation where the only activity that sparks joy in this way is harmful to you. And it's worth putting the time into just trying some other things that aren't harmful that might make you feel the same way. And it's worth keeping in mind when you are trying these things that sometimes things that you really wind up enjoying are not always necessarily super enjoyable at the very beginning. I like to use guitar for this example. I enjoy playing the guitar. I have not picked up the guitar in recent history. I will have to get back into that. This new hobby of mine has really taken a lot of my attention. I am thoroughly enjoying this time with you nuggets. But playing the guitar, for example, you're really slow changing chords, so the songs don't really sound like songs in the beginning, and the strings really hurt until you develop calluses. So the initial investment into the time of learning that particular instrument is not super enjoyable, but then after a while, after practice, change the chords a little more fluently, and you've developed the calluses, which doesn't take too long, it's really enjoyable then. And then it gives me, personally, that kind of experience that she's having with food. So it is worth keeping in mind that it doesn't always hit immediately. So don't try something and then dismiss it because it doesn't give you that level of joy. Give it a little bit of time to settle in, see how it feels, see how you respond to it. And if it's still no good, then, that's fine. Try something else.
I will finish up all of this tonight. This is my food for today, pretty much. I'm pretty sure this is going to be out.
Okay, so how did we do? For April, weight-wise, she pretty much finished at the same weight that she started, give or take like a couple of pounds. Given the severity of this situation, I find that really, really concerning. And I just want to grab her and say, Candy, you do not have time for this cluckery. You need to get on top of it. But it's her path. As I've said, we don't know where she's at in her journey. The only reason I'm stressing that urgency is because I worry about the physical toll. She's in a race, and I don't know if she's moving fast enough, but tell me what you think, my nuggets. This was a bit of a heavy one, but like I said, I'll do an Amber catch up next, and then I'll be straight back to Eugenia content after that. But that's all the clucks I have left to give today. Stay golden, my little nuggets, and I'll catch you next time.
Hey! I'm gonna go watch another video. Let's go!